And we're going to go ahead and start off with Austin Moore. Revive AI.
Click next.
That button right there. Okay.
21 million cups.
Morning.
How you doing?
Great.
My name is Austin. Oh, change the orange there. So my name is Austin. I'm from Orlando, and I've worked for family-owned companies all my life since I was 9 years old. So I kind of built in that mentality of how do I support companies, how do I support operations, how do I support revenue generation activities as a whole. I also have a product development and manufacturing solutions company. And one thing that I struggled with the most in manufacturing was sales. Manufacturing has one of the longest sales cycles in any industry, possibly. Maybe you correct me on that, Rupert.
Nope.
But I was struggling, right? I owned the company, I had the technical expertise, I had to manage my team, and I also had to work with marketing and sales material or sales activities. And I was exhausted. And the only way to really touch folks in manufacturing is to go to in-person events. I'm a small company, I can't afford to fly around everywhere. And unfortunately, a phone call every once in a while just doesn't really make the mark. And so I started thinking, after developing some operational software for my product development company and becoming more and more familiar with AI over the last couple of years and LLMs like we all use for ChatGPT to get through our day, whether it's emails or whatever it may be, started understanding more about sales and AI, and I landed on Revive. So I took up Revive as the name and the thumbprint that you have there because I wanted to add an AI touch into business and humanize it, make it usable, not just a pre-recording robot that speaks with you. We program our AI to be as human-like as possible and to connect people. And we do that to revive businesses and elevate them to a new competitive advantage that otherwise they may not have in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years because everybody's embracing AI. So, I'll cut out a little bit. So this is supposed to say sales is a game of volume and consistency, right? A sophisticated buyer will take 8 to 21 touches before you can even book a meeting with them. That's exhausting. How am I supposed to do that as a small business owner, right? And this is basically the internal flow of a sale. You have your qualified sales leads, which can come from lead magnets, they can come from networking, they can come from a database, and then those leads will be handed into a sales development rep, an SDR, right? They'll reach out, they'll call, they'll hound, all these tedious prospecting tasks that I can't perform. I have too many things to do in my day. And it's also exhausting. You are building some sales skills there, but it's not necessarily the sales skills that you need to close the deal and make your business revenue, right? We lean on closers to build revenue for our business, net revenue. And then at the end, you have your account executives. These are the closers. These are the salespeople that you lean on, that every CEO loves in their company. You're making me money? Thank God. So I created this little guy. This is my Revive. 8 to 21 touches just to discuss a close. And I made him help with this. Him or her. Not binary. So where do we go from here, right? 8 to 21 touches, that's exhausting. For one person that may or may not get back to you. How many people in a day do you think you'd reach out to? 10, 20? So the average SDR is provided at least 150 to 400 leads a month to reach out to. 40 people a month. And the expected close rates for cold email is about 1%. Some of the cold calling activities you can see, you can expect to close from those lead lists for about 2 to 3%. So, it's a volume game, right? But it's how good is your SDR? Well, this free here, I guess it's not too bad that free is blocking my face. But so this is an example of how I programmed the AI and the system that the AI controls to conduct those 8 to 21 touches. So we're connected to LinkedIn, email, handwritten mail, text messaging services, and what is that fifth one? It's escaping me at the moment. Oh, voice drops, voicemail. So it rings your phone once and then sends a voicemail, and then right after that, we send a text message saying, hey, my name's Austin, yada yada, right? And so it performs a specific cadence that's been proven in industry for the past couple of years to kind of dabble into the buyer psychology of things, these C-suites, directors, VPs, managers, people that do not want to talk to outside representatives. It follows this cadence to eventually grab their attention. And so from this backdoor logic / automation / system of cadences, whatever it may be, we created a portal, right? And the leads that you inject in from your CSV or from your CRM will populate a list. And from this list, you'll be able to create a status. And from that status, that will direct the type of messaging, the type of sequence, type of touches that will be used to either outreach that lead or continue pushing them down the sales cycle. So outreach, right? That is the cold call. That is, let me just view your LinkedIn. I don't do LinkedIn InMail. No offense to anybody, but I think it's spammy. I don't want my company or any of my clients' companies to be represented that way. That's just me personally. But we can adjust that if a client absolutely requests it. And then if you go to, say you have your first meeting booked, right? Then it will move into a different messaging. You can conduct a note. This is actually a dated picture. There's actually a note portal here to send a note to your AI, say, hey, this lead, we already had a meeting, this and that, yada yada. Understand this for the next round of messaging, right? So we'll continue to send emails, texts, and all the rest to motivate them to get to the next solutions meeting so you can talk about, hey, this, you know what we do, we know what you do, where do we go from here and how we make this work, right? Oh man, I don't know what that top note says. Okay, so anyways, in the realm of business, right, we will consistently look for tools that give us a competitive advantage and reduce our overhead cost and increase the value of our resources, people, right? And AI will provide that advantage. It just has to be utilized correctly and conducted correctly. Right now, there's a whole ocean of this new technology. It just has to be utilized and adjusted correctly to be a benefit to our businesses. From there, more and more companies will start integrating AI into their operations as long as it functions correctly and represents their brand correctly. And that's exactly what I've done with Revive. I haven't done it all. I had a team to help me. I'm just not that smart. And so the value proposition that we provide is that we are creating this technology that everybody has access to, but in a very humanized way. It's the same thing that Apple does. They make technology that fits the use case, and then they fit in the more advanced technology later on. So we all know what LLMs are, or AI. That's been around for a while, but this has been curated to fit the human need. That's it. Everyone's up.
All right.
Cool.
First thing, I am going to make a suggestion about your presentation. I know you put this together
Last morning.
Yeah. But you always have your contact information on your final slide.
Yeah.
So that you have that ready. So, questions?
Amazing concept.
Oh, thank you.
Have you been protecting your intellectual property? Like behind that, this is a good. They should be
The large what? Excuse me?
conglomerate, big companies.
Right, enterprise level.
Yeah,
Right.
that's where it should be.
Okay. IP question?
IP?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How is it?
Yeah.
What's your protection on it?
Oh, well, right now currently This is basically an assembly of current technology that is available. It just hasn't been curated in this fashion, right? So IP is something that, especially within software, there are bits of the software that you can pull out of the architecture to, say, create a protection for it. Um, so it's basically an architecture layout that we would be protecting. And at that point, we haven't exactly gotten to.
So, talk to me two things, and you and I need to talk, but talk to me about how do you upload this, and then once it sends out, let's say send out 100 texts or whatever initially, and I get a half a dozen responses. How does your system separate the responses and then send follow-ups?
That's a great question. Do you mind if I borrow the clicker one more time? Bless you. Bless you. So the CSV, first the input question. So two ways. We can connect it through a webhook or an API into your CRM if you use a CRM like HubSpot or any of those key, Salesforce, etc. Or you can upload a CSV, or it says create new import CSV just there. So you can import your CSV. There is a specific mapping under CSV that we require in order for it to function correctly. Or you can update your sales lead, and you can put as many leads in here as you like, but depending on your plan, you will be limited to a max number of sequences that you can activate.
So you mean follow-ups?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So companies will go two routes. Either they would like to control the response, or they would like it to be completely automated, right? You have a small business, you don't have time to man it necessarily, like myself, I completely relate. We can integrate an auto reply, and it's an extra cost because it does cost money to activate the LLM and the connections and everything like that in the database. That's just an extra surcharge, essentially.
Roger?
But it continues to carry on the tone that we program for your tone and company.
Austin, I'm not sure how far along you are in developing your process. You develop your process and then copyright it. Copyrights are stronger than patents. The second one is, if I'm understanding right, you're just starting this, am I right? Do you have any customers yet?
Correct. We've serviced 3 companies so far, and they've been kind enough to help us prove out the actual function of it all. But I've launched the sales team last.
Mike, and then Kurt.
Just general question, what's your business model? How do you make money?
It's very simple. It's sales and the product. So the product itself is what we rely on, what we lean on to generate our revenue. So my sales team utilizes our product to sell the product and move on from there. So if it's not making us money, it's not making our clients money.
But is it a subscription model or a one-time sale or?
Yes, yeah. So we have a setup fee, then a 3-month commitment, and then you do month to month, or you do 10% reduction if you pay for full annual. 3-year, you get that same reduction at 10%, but you get the locked-in rate if you do have a 3% or 3-year contract.
You also mentioned you got surcharges for additional sequences, or so you've got like value adds that you can add to.
Yeah, you can have an outreach, so it's a bit of a matrix here, but you can have an outreach program, or you can have full pipeline, like I said, so you can start adjusting it to re-engage and whatnot. And then we also have Plus Intelligence, which is essentially just connecting to your CRM.
I would also ask is it per seat or is it per company or what?
It will be per seat, but however, depending on the size, we'll start adjusting.
So my question, or it's actually not a question because I'm going to give them some feedback that I believe is valuable, is you need to grab us.
Yeah.
You didn't grab us in the beginning.
Over here.
And we need and what we really need to know is we need a story.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a story like your avatar. Right?
Yeah.
You know, we've got this client, they came to us and they're like, oh, they can't, their customer acquisition cost is so high and blah, 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 and all this other stuff, and they're having all this pain and the cat left and whatever.
Yeah.
You know, and give us a story about how you came in there and fixed them and now they're a happy camper, right? in a way that everyone in the audience can relate to. Okay, that's what pulls them in, because you're focusing on their story instead of just the product.
Gotcha.
Okay,
Okay.
and I think that'll help you out quite a bit.
Josh?
I'm sorry, just really quickly, sort of to piggyback concerning copyright with SaaS sales is so difficult, especially nowadays with like the AI boom. I like the idea. The problem is I work in sales personally, and I've seen a couple companies similar. So I guess my question is pertaining to how are you going to grow and sort of, I guess, sort of separate from the crowd. You know what I mean? Especially when it comes to business, because I know there's a couple software that does similar. So I guess that's my biggest question is like how marketing or how.
Yeah. So the market research that we perform, there's actually a ton of AI SDRs that do cold outreach email. That's what a ton of those platforms really use. We use multi-channel to create a realm of awareness, not necessarily spam. If on my previous slides, the messages are very personalized, and the whole point of Revive is to have a very human touch. It's not just ChatGPT plugged into your email. We train the AI extensively. It takes us 2 weeks to launch your package. Not only for all your channels to kind of warm up so you don't have spam, but we're also programming the AI. Each company has their own specific AI.
Okay, so it is unique for each one, so it's not just like sort of just like a copy, because I'm not gonna lie, I worked as an SDR and I can't say how many times I just copied and pasted, like, hello, do-do-do, blah, blah, blah.
So many of my friends are all in sales, and I've ran through this whole idea from inception. It's like, what would help you? You know, and we went through this, we went through that, and I basically built it around my pains as a business owner and their pains too.
Okay.
So yeah, it's
Good
quite
idea.
unique.
I mean, really can.
Good customer discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah, my question is similar. For example, that's something not that, but similar I use in my company. So, but the thing is that I need to use 2 platforms to do more or less what you described here. No, I use, for example, Ample Market for making the really humanized message, and I use Apollo to get the message sent. So I have to use 2 platforms. My question is, does this software help me to replace those both platforms? Because if it does, I could definitely be a client.
No, so the leads, we can't take responsibility for leads because qualified leads are dependent on your company and the industry, right? We can't really operate with that sort of responsibility for our performance. So we're gonna have to rely on you for that. However, this is going to curate the messages across mail, text, handwritten mail, LinkedIn engagement, and your voicemail. That's actually your voice. You just give us an MP3 and it sends it out. Because I've played with the whole talk AI. It's not there yet, and I don't want my clients or my company to be represented by that sort of not par performance. But essentially, this is kind of plug and play. So you take your list from Apollo or your lead magnet list, plug it in here, and it will start the outreach.
So it would replace Ample Market, but not Apollo, or something more or less like that.
I'm not familiar with Ample Market.
Okay.
But it will replace Apollo's function of the email, because I know Apollo also operates on those sequences, and part of the benchmarking for the procedure of outreach and everything, we've actually looked at Apollo and some other companies as well, and we use similar sequences, but of course we use different channels of messaging to create that realm of awareness to start building your relationships with these customers.
Lastly, we're going to Josh here and Bob. Okay.
If you're going to be doing more presentations, I've got a lot of suggestions. I'll leave it at that.
Throw it out.
Well, we can talk after.
Okay.
I think part of your message, you talk about humanity, and there's a lot of misconceptions between AI and humanity. And I think maybe part of your message could be something along the lines of, not only can AI and humanity coexist, they must. Because if you don't start using AI, you're going to be left behind.
Yeah.
Right? AI is
Absolutely.
getting better. What you're doing is starting to bring the 2 together. I would definitely lean into that as part of your message. I think that'll differentiate you even further.
Cool. Thank you.
I think you oversimplified and you're missing the point of your solution, how a sales cycle actually works, right?
Yeah.
You know, you want lead here, you send a bunch of stuff and you get a sale, right? I mean, that's kind of, it's down to that.
Yeah.
A lot of activities, I think if you took the time to kind of put that across with a presentation, but even in how you're gonna go out and market to people, is find out where the pain points are along that cycle, right? Funnel all the way through the close, and understand that. I don't know if you've done that or if you you said you've been in the sales process, but maybe talk to your customers and take time with them, not just to refine the product, but to find out where are the, where do they run into trouble, right? Because you go from all these opportunities to one deal. How is that working and doing that? You have to understand if you're going to make their life easier, and the only way they understand that if you understand their pain.
Shooting more than 6 minutes. You ran a lot. Thank you.
Can't
There's
say
a point-
it
there's a
simply, you
point for
don't
that.
know it well enough.
Everything works better with a niche. What is your niche size business that you're targeting?
So you'll probably need, I'd say comfortable to make the investment, $500,000 plus. Larger small businesses, medium-sized businesses will help. This will also be applicable to, enterprise, but we'll start really going after those rapid growth companies that are posting SDR positions, that are buying tools like SalesLoft, already have Salesforce possibly, and are looking for a plugin to help with a lot of that messaging that is tedious from deal to deal, like he was mentioning, to really start motivating the salesperson or the prospect down the sales pipeline.
And finally, as the Orlando 1 Million Cups community, what can we do for you?
So I have the company started, right? And if there's any recommendations on how it could grow, what sort of companies would be great to help it launch, our partnerships to help it launch, affiliates. I have a couple of newsletters that I'm going to be reaching out to, and then help maybe brainstorm what an exit strategy looks like 3 to 5 years from now.
Thank you very much.
Everyone, how many of you guys, actually put your guys' hands up if you guys have heard of LeBron James, if you've heard of Tiger Woods, or if you've heard of, say, Lewis Hamilton. Everyone, right? How many of you guys have heard of Mehul Patel or Ibose Okondo? A few of you guys, right? Well, let me go ahead and formally introduce myself. My name is Mehul Patel. I was born and raised in Zimbabwe, where I had the privilege of playing golf almost half of my life, for about 10 years. I actually played golf to the level where I became my high school golf team captain. I made the regional team, and I made almost a national team. As you can see by some of the stats over here, if you guys do play golf, you can notice that having a handicap of 2 is not very easy to do, and that takes a lot of hard work. I put in the work every single day, played every single day, and actually had my best round of 3 under par. With that being said, I still wasn't able to make it to the next level. I struggled very, very hard to make athletics my that's why I'm here. I'm doing business. I'm not even doing athletics anymore. I didn't have the exposure I needed. I didn't have the mentors and mentorships. I couldn't get a college scholarship. I was just struggling overall. My co-founder, his name is Ibose, he had the same struggles, but with soccer. We just couldn't figure out what to do next. It was at that point, our dreams had shattered, right? So we came to the realization that athletics was not the route for us, and we became engineers. We both majored in aerospace and mechanical engineering, and that's how we kind of switched over from athletics to engineering. There's a lot of other athletes that we thought about that may go through this problem, and we wanted to validate this. So we spoke to about 50 different athletes, and they mentioned the same thing. They were struggling with just trying to find exposure. They couldn't find the right mentorship, they didn't have the right guidance, they didn't know what to do with their skills, right? So they had immaculate skills, they just didn't know how to monetize it. They didn't know what to do at the next level, how to take it and get anything out of what they were trying to do. They always just pivoted. So that brings us to what we are. We're building Prodisphere. It's basically a platform that's going to unlock the true value of every athlete. We're building our core features based around player valuation, a brand marketplace, as well as talent discovery, helping the athlete get to the next level. We have a few future features to do with performance analytics, mental wellness, and then video tracking to help the athlete and the coaching side to kind of streamline this entire process for the athlete. When it comes to our demo, here's a quick run through how it works. You can log into your profile, you can see different pages on here to kind of support other people that you're trying to follow, like, comment, repost them. But what you can do is you can create your own personalized profile in here, upload your stats, see an actual valuation of what your skill set is, how much you're worth, how much that is like trending over time, and how you can collaborate, endorse, and get sponsorship opportunities and get monetize your skill set essentially. So every athlete can do this, not just the top elite athletes. Athletes from D3 all the way up to D1 can do this. So this is a quick snapshot of what it looks like. All these features together, we plan to start by tackling the first is going to be the North American Collegiate Soccer League, which is about 2.4 billion in size. Then we'll scale up to the global soccer market and eventually up to the global athletics market. We're developing this very dynamically. So if we do have other sports that we want to turn on, we can flip a switch and turn on basketball. We can turn on, say, NFL, like football. We can turn on rugby. Any other sport we can just turn on with a flip of a switch. But starting off with soccer. There's many other competitors in the space. One of them sitting in the same room as us. So we have Huddle, On3, and SportsThread. One thing that these competitors don't do that we're doing is that we're very much athlete-centric. We're putting the athlete at first, empowering the athlete throughout the entire process, helping them understand what their worth is, and then actually monetize their worth from ground up. All these companies right now, they focus on the coaches, the scouts, and the professional teams. They go directly to them, and they help them out and in the best way possible through performance analytics, through creation of events, running these events, and kind of that sense. So I've mentioned athletes so many different times, and I want to say that our first customers, our first immediate customers, are the athletes themselves. We're going to be D2C to the immediate customer, offering them first free features, and then in-app purchases as they monetize their wealth. So we want to make money as they make money, help them out along the way. Future customers are going to be our coaches and scouts, helping them along the way, offering them the same thing with a user-based tiered subscription model, and then the teams and brands will do a team-based, a percentage-based commission model with them. Now, our ask is that we ask the entire 1 Million Cups community if you guys could give us any introductions to university athletic heads so that we can help do a pilot program with our current platform, as well as any collegiate athlete that you may have in your network. So anyone you think might be interested in trying to figure out what their worth is, or if you have any kids that you want to figure out, hey, my kid is worth this much, how much money can he make, where can he get endorsements? We want to kind of go through that process with you guys and see how we can monetize your skill set. Now, if you actually want to be a part of our beta users, well, I welcome you to scan this QR code, and together, let's help elevate the game of every prodigy. Thank you.
Very well put together presentation. I'm going to make one point, not a critique. The way that he did the video, I'm not a big fan of putting videos in your presentations, but having it so that it automatically played, it was ready to go. The only thing I might add is if you can embed it without, instead of relying on YouTube, so you're not relying on anybody's network connection, internet connection, that will save you with that. So just a little tip with the presentation. But anybody but Roger have no, go ahead, Roger.
Sorry. Well, first, not to critique, but you got to update your numbers. There's over 3 million SportsThread users, and we do well more than 16 million. But that's beside the point. Your focus is mostly on the collegiate side for that.
Yes.
So we need to actually talk and work together because ours is before you get to college. So SportsThread's focus is helping these kids get scholarships and get into that. You've got ways to help them get even further than the next level. So I think there's some stuff we can work together on.
Okay.
So just real quick, I used to do blogging, and you know what this would be awesome for? Start reaching out, so I could actually give you the number of a couple really big like blogs for Orlando City actually.
Okay.
And what they do is they could partner, they could get like a future, you know what I mean? They have like over 1 million views. I'm telling you, especially for your type of clientele, because I think it's mostly high school and college students that's going to be reading about Orlando City and beyond. So I think that's like right up there for marketing.
Okay, Michael.
Great presentation. Love the product. As an athlete myself and a former coach of college teams, I might have missed it, but what level of athlete is your ideal user?
So collegiate level. So starting.
Well, not like what grade level. I mean like what performance level.
So performance level, we're gonna scale from all the way from D3 up to D1. So anyone in between, we're gonna help everyone out from there.
I mean, do they have to be like star athletes to be interested
No,
in this?
anyone. Yeah. So that's the goal for us. Some of our competitors, they help only the star athletes, and you can only see this evaluation of star athletes. But we're gonna help every athlete along the way. So if you kind of are good at some sport, but you're worth $10,000, why can't you just make $100 going to get endorsement deals or $500 here and there? You can still get monetized along the way. And those are the guys that need the help the most, not the star athletes that are making $5 million. They can get some money from it, but they're already getting all that money. We want to help everyone else in between.
Have you done anything with Major League Soccer with the academies?
So that's what we're trying to do. That's what we're trying to ask for. Any introductions to MLS?
That's a huge thing. I mean, particularly in Europe, you just nationally but also internationally.
Exactly. So since I was born and raised in Zimbabwe, I know how big soccer is globally. Soccer, the reason we chose soccer is because in America, it's a low-hanging fruit. It's not really tackled that much. People don't look at it that much. But we want soccer to become a global sport in America too. And World Cup is coming here in 2016, 2026. So that's already about to like explode us to the next level. So we have rocket fuel incoming for us.
The athlete evaluation is very fascinating because it almost gamifies it a little bit. What are the input parameters? How is that determined? Can you give us a few of the?
Yeah, so that's another thing that we're looking at. So we're building a board of members. So some Olympic athletes, we're building some collegiate coaches. They're going to help us curate this metric. So the metric we currently have right now is a Prodisphere score. It's based on 5 different metrics. We have the performance, we have their social metrics, we have as well as their longevity in the game. When it comes to performance metrics in particular for soccer, we divide it into goalkeepers, midfielders, strikers, and then anyone that fits in between. So we have a very detailed breakdown of that, and that's what we're trying to patent as well. Once we do have patents on that, we can actually have a board that sits on there, and we have a verified stat that's going to go out to the public and say that if you have an athlete with this valuation, you have a verified number, and you can go get monetized from that, and everyone can see that as a big value.
So I'm pretty sure you're aware of like name, image, likeness, the nil thing. A lot of those high school athletes are getting paid before they get to college. I think you touched on you're going to focus in solely on collegiate athletes. So is there a reason why you're not helping them transition into the collegiate athlete, considering that they are making sometimes $500,000, over $1 million before they even?
So it's possible for us to go down that route and tackle high school and college. We've also spoken about that many times, but we've always come to the realization is that we don't want to bite off too much than we can chew. Just right off as we begin. When we start out, we want to go to the people that are directly in need, and then eventually like trickle down and try to help out. So goes to what Roger was saying, was that he's doing high school stuff, we're doing collegiate stuff, but eventually down the line we could collaborate and then kind of combine those two and help everyone out below.
I think you said St. Pete, is that where you're based out of?
Based out of Orlando.
Orlando, okay.
Yes.
The Windermere LA Fitness has a hub of local sports athletes, famous athlete, whatever. All the celebs hang out there. Might be a good place to find one of those guys to say, hey, I'll be your spokesmodel. You don't have, the whole thing, but that might be a nice place to find someone that says, you know what, I like your idea, I'll throw in.
What was that place again?
LA Fitness in Windermere.
Okay.
Yeah. All kinds of sports there.
So I wanted to ask you, how'd you come up with the name?
So Prodisphere, it's ecosphere for prodigies. As students are great at what they do, they are prodigies, they're known as prodigies. We wanted to create this ecosphere for them, and then we kind of just combine both of them together.
Okay. Then my response would be, and this is a personal preference, I don't know about anybody else, but I prefer a name that is indicative, that gives people an immediate understanding, or at least what you're talking about. Okay. And I don't see that with this particular name. And to what Brent was saying, I think my response would have been it's a minimum viable product for a reason, right? You can get there as quickly as possible. So you're probably going to get, I don't know if you've gotten blowback or not, but
Yeah,
I'd be expecting.
That's a good point. Some people have said that it was a great name, but it wasn't indicative of sports. But once they understood the Prodigy part of it, they kind of got it. And we're open to rebranding if that comes to be. So we're not closing all doors. We're open to it. Eric?
Would it make more sense to go after the smaller, lesser known sports, the long tail sports, because playing in that field, so instead of soccer, you go after.
Yeah, so that's why we pick soccer. So soccer in the U.S. is one of those low sports. People don't look into it. It is. Yeah.
U.S. is football, not even baseball really as much anymore.
Basketball. On the wayside. Very much. That's why the culture within the U.S. is.
Hi, apologies up front. I don't know if this question is actually just me being a jerk, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. You started your introduction for this program with, I wanted to do this and I failed at it. So how are you positioning yourself as an expert to be able to help other people to do this? Is it really just kind of, this is our prototype so that we can prove whether it's viable or not, and you're sort of like living vicariously through the people that you actually see succeed, or what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I mean, I wasn't able to make it to the pro levels, but I was super great at what I was doing. My skill set was immaculate. I almost made it to national level, but I couldn't monetize that. So many other athletes that can do that. Why not help them make money off it using the skill set that I have as an engineer? So helping them out with that.
I would include that next time. That time.
That time.
Yeah. Because that was actually a really, really great question.
I thought you did.
So,
You're an
I
engineer now.
understood it, but based on what you said, I just want to go a little further. So from knowledge, skills, and character, which one is the one that it was missing in you? One of those had to be missing, 100%. Which one?
I think it was just exposure. I wasn't able, no one was able to see the talent that I had. Now, yeah, I get it. I was from a third world country, which is very hard to get up and out of that place. But people within the U.S. are struggling with the same thing. They have the skills, they have the knowledge, they have this business acumen, whatever they need. It's just no one is looking at them, and that's super.
So can I finish my question? Yeah. So based on your answer, it's character. The one thing was missing because the moment you brought up that you're from a third world country, that's a story that is killing, and it's killing a lot of people. So how are you going to help them with that story that they're telling themselves, the same story that you told yourself? So that's why you were lacking character.
Okay.
Well, how are you going to help?
Well, I think we'll have to look into that a bit deeper. So I'll get back to you on that one.
You know.
Yeah, I was going to agree that. I was just going to agree that the Women Real Fitness is good. I play there. I play all around the gyms. I know basketball, but there is a lot of talent there. There's a lot of people that are, and the kids have a lot of money there in the area, and so there are definitely celebrity guys that play there. So there's a lot of hubs around Orlando for that. But I was gonna ask, so you are focused mainly on college athletes, D3 to D1, but what about club teams and that level? Like, what if you're on a club? I know you're not doing high school yet, but like, what if you're on a club team at that college level? That still counts too. Targeting that also.
So our go-to-market strategies go to universities, have the universities onboard these students. Since they already have these athletic programs set up for these D3 to D1s, it's easy for us to get a pipeline of athletes. Now, if you're a sports club athlete, we can always, if you make it through the threads and you kind of get into our app, we'll still help you out. You can make a profile, you can get your valuation, you can have your stats uploaded in there, but our go-to-market strategy is not to target the sports clubs. It's more to target D1, D3 to D1 because they have structured programs already set.
You know, what I have learned through my years doing sports, it's talent, desire, and support. That's what it is, okay? If you have talent and you have, desire, you don't have any support, that's why all major football clubs have academies now. That's where talent gets supported, but it's all money related, anything what you do today, okay? So even you have struggled and have not made it, but you went through those steps. But I think there's no one better set than you teaching other people what you went through with perhaps more talent than you had.
Brand name, Rupert is right. If somebody has to open up a dictionary, you lost them. they come up with a tagline, no more than 5 words. I can help you out with that, okay? The tagline can be the more famous than your brand and everything else, okay? You can look at that, so unlocking the true value of every athlete, so it should come on the first page. When you open your mouth, this what the hell is it? They should understand that. This should come on the very first thing, as best as possible.
What are the revenue streams for it? Do you charge the athletes or the scouts? Or
So,
how do you make affiliate marketing?
So right now it's going to be a freemium model for the athletes. We'll have in-app purchases. So as they understand their valuation and they get monetized through that, through brand endorsement, different deals, then we charge them access to that. So we'll give them a broad valuation at first. If they want to get the exact valuation, they pay a fee for that as we crunch all the numbers for them, and then they can get monetized off that. So we help them get monetized and we get monetized at the same time.
Also, are you free from 5 to 7? Because my partner for the scramble at Dubstrat just dropped off. I need a golf partner.
Bring a ringer. I like
Ringer, chicken dinner.
So, if you don't mind, can you just walk me through, let's say I'm a collegiate athlete.
Yes.
I'm a D3, and I want to get to D1.
Yeah.
I see Prodisphere. Walk me through that process, right? And how do I level up from D3 to D1?
So we're building the actual, that's a good question. We're building the Prodisphere metric so dynamically that not only does it tell you evaluation, but a breakdown of your evaluation. So if you can see, once you upload your stats to our platform, you'll be able to see that your performance stats are the one that's lacking. So now when you want to go from D3 to D1, within your performance stats, you know that my dribbling skills needs work. So we'll actually curate using AI some skills on how you can improve your dribbling skills, and then you can go ahead and use that. And you can kind of track that, upload new stats, and see if that's actually taking you further, building up your value. And it won't really do that performance-wise to tell you that in order to get to D1, these are the exact things you need to do. But you can track your value and you can increase your value. Knowing that your value is increasing from a performance standpoint, you know that you can kind of go from D3 to D1. Is that what kind of progress?
So hypothetical, so hypothetical, if let's say a D1, he runs a 4.5 in the 40.
Yep.
D3 runs a 5.1.
Yep.
Right. So what you're ultimately saying is, in order for me to get to D1, perhaps I need to kind of measure up to these metrics.
Yeah.
And then your software is able to track that progress. And the assumption is, once I get to these, then I level up.
You've leveled up. Now, will you get the D1 seat? That's all dependent on the coach and the selection process. But you have the skill set and you have the power to go up to coaches and be like, hey, this is where I stack up to the guy that's on your team, on your roster. Give me a shot. So we're empowering the athlete to get them shots where they need to be.
I'm going to wrap up. I've got 2 questions. First, you brought up in kind of the criteria a social aspect of it, and character has been brought up. Is there tell us just really quickly, is there a social score that is inherent to what their value is? Like somebody's a fantastic athlete, but they're a jackass in life.
Yeah.
I mean, is that included in? So are they getting maybe some character feedback as well?
Yes, so in our metric, we have a sociability or marketability criteria. It's mainly marketability, not really sociability. It's how well can this athlete be marketed? How many followings do they have on their social medias? What's their engagement rate? So we take that into consideration when creating evaluation. Now, they could be a jackass, I guess, but get a lot of views and a lot of engagement. It's hard for us to distinguish that with data to be like, this is a good person, this is a bad person, but they're marketable. So companies would pay them more to get more views. So
some jackasses make a lot of money.
Yeah.
And finally, you did mention a couple things, but as the Orlando 1 Million Cups community, what can we do for you?
Just introduction. So I appreciate the introduction to maybe some people within the LA fitness section where you mentioned like there's some celebrities over there, but more in particular, introductions directly to collegiate athletic programs, if you have any, as well as any collegiate athletes that you think may benefit from this program to become our beta users, to hop on the platform, tell us what's wrong, tell us how to iterate, what they want to see, because we are in this iteration process where we'll get feedback, iterate immediately, get feedback and iterate immediately. So plan is to launch fully in July of this year. So from now till then, get as much feedback as we can and keep iterating the program.
It doesn't have to be soccer players. It can be any athlete.
For beta testing, preferably soccer, but we'll be open to anything. Yeah.
Good job. All right. Rupert, you got something coming up on Monday.
On Monday. Da-da-da. So who here has heard of Orlandopreneur?
Never.
All right. So our April event is going to be back at the Copper Rocket, which is in Maitland, and the food there and the beverages are awesome. And so please RSVP to come to the event, and it's going to be another rocking good time. And we got another good
1 million cups, 1 million cups.
Yeah.
1 million cups.
And as usual, we're gonna have a really good fiction to learn you. So come on up, learn something, generate some new opportunities.
Take your chocolate.
Great. Again, like, follow, and share, and say nice things about us on your favorite social media, and then go down to the one that you don't like so much and do the same over there. Get together with people that you've met and connect with them over coffee, over a snack, over a park bench, whatever, and carry our community out into the greater Orlando community. Next week we have one speaker, so we are open for, we have 2 speakers? We have 2 speakers, so that slide is now. Thank you all.
Get on for the week after that.
You can get on for the week after that, and if, like I say, if you have any questions about that, you can get in touch with us and we can help walk you through the process. The website's still a little janky, but we would love to get you in the pipeline and get you scheduled for your presentation. And with that, we will see everybody next week.